This is January 1st, so Happy New Year, belatedly I guess, because this won't air until third week of January, I think, maybe even the 4th. It's a little kiln unloading with the first one now of January 1st. If you can hear, I still have, I still have this guy with me. He's becoming quite a fixture here because he gets neutered next week, about time too, because he's a bit smelly. But he just doesn't leave me alone. He's got quite a nice chirp to him as well. But he wants to knead his paws, and he's got very sharp paws all the time. So, but I'm gonna have to go put him away somewhere. I just fed him, keep him out of the way for a few minutes. He was eating everything like immediately, eating it, completely swallowing it without chewing. Now at least he's leaving food when I feed him. So the anxiety's sort of reduced, but he just doesn't leave me alone. This is a blast from the past. These are, this whole kiln unloading is cat pieces that I used to make since 1985, when I first made the first one. I guess I did a few earlier than that with other dogs and stuff, but anyway, I don't do this very often, maybe once a year, maybe twice a year at the most, because I don't like making them as much anymore. But anyway, so this is the cat stencil that I do with layering clay. You've got 4 different layers of clay there, including the actual base clay, which is B-Mix 5. I've shown this in videos before, how you use stencils. So you got a white layer right on the natural clay, then you spray yellow and paint stripes across with a paintbrush to give tiger cat effect, and then you basically put stencils over that area. Then you actually spray the whole piece black, and you put paper stencils over the black areas, and then you spray the whole piece white again over the black, which takes 3 coats to actually get a coverage that's opaque, using the slip recipe that I use. I wish it would only take 1, but it always takes 3 coats. So it's a lot of time to actually put that on. And then you have to find every stencil. Under all that clay, it's quite hard. It takes a while to using a sharp needle or pin to pull them all off again. And there are videos of me doing this. I'll probably put a link to this in this video. But there you go. It's called a prowler design, and you can find these early pieces on eBay. I see them quite often coming up. So I've got yellow here. The white circle in the middle is because if the slip gets really thick, dribbling down into the center, you often get a little crack in the slip area, but not in the clay body, so I just trim it out and you've got a white circle. It doesn't happen very often, but it usually happens with the yellow, because the yellow needs to be applied 3 times as well. And it, for some reason, it seems like it's mostly the yellow this happens to. You get a little tiny, very, very tiny little crack, and I trim it out. Another white one. This is a blue one. Same basic process, background is blue. And then you got a peacock green one as well. So I only use a few basic colors to do these pieces. And I can foresee that I probably will give up making these eventually, but I only had a few left, and I noticed they started to sell again last year, so I thought, well, for the new season I'll have a bunch of these made ready. And of course, I used to make everything, vases, sugar creamers, everything with this design. But in this firing I just did some bowls and some mugs, because I really don't intend reviving this in a big way. They are really nice and they're very unique since I developed the technique, and also nobody's ever copied me doing these in 40 years. So one lady said homage to Vaughan Smith when she made a piece that was like it, but said it was so time consuming she wasn't going to do it again. But and there's a large bowl. This is almost 12 inches across, I would say. And that worked really nice. That's a really nice example of these pieces. I mean, that's a really nice one. That's a slightly smaller one, just be about 10 inches across. Those usually pop off very easily. I still fire them on stilts. And I always dated my pieces so you can see which year I made them. Some of these pieces will have 1985 on them. But, and there's another one of the yellow. Notice there's no circles cut out of the other colors. It always seems to be the yellow that does this. So it must be the stain, because I add 10% of that yellow stain into the slip and it reduces its plasticity, I think. The other colors I only use like 3% or 5 at the most. And then another one of the mugs. And there's a blue as well. And this blue stain, I only add 3% to the actual slip. So it must be the plasticity reason. And there's another one of the white. Yeah, I bet if you type in Vaughan Smith or Westcote Bell Pottery prowler mugs or prowler pottery, you might even find it up on eBay. Just lift these up to show you. You can't quite see into the kiln. Another one of the yellow with the white circle cut out. I actually feel like the white circle is kind of nice being down there, just different. It sort of focuses the eye maybe a little bit, but I have so much experience making these that I really don't mess up anymore. But when you do try, if you ever tried to do this, photograph your piece so you know where all the stencils are at each stage. That way it will really help finding them. And this is the dark green, which I only add 3% of this. No, maybe I add 5% of this stain. Even though it's a dark one, I think I get a richer color from 5%. It's called peacock green, I think, or blue green in mason stain. And there's a smaller sage version of it. Oh, the cat's back. No. I'm not sure if the home I found for him will work out or not, but I'll keep him if the home doesn't work out, because he's such a sweet cat and he's going to get neutered, so I guess I'll be the guilty party there. That should probably get rid of all this neediness that he has, because he's constantly wanting attention. So if anybody wants any of these pieces, they retail at $69, the mugs. And the bowls are kind of like 79 up to about 110 Canadian dollars. I have another large blue bowl. I feel good having done these early, very early this year. This is January 1st, so I don't have to do them again. It's sort of like old work. Some artist I spoke to said once that he always did things too long before he gave up on it, and I always feel like yes. But then I just felt like doing so again this time. It was it's therapeutic, just doing the same repetitive motion over and over again, watching the ocean outside. I mean, what have I got to complain about? There's two yellow ones, and it's oddly, but there's no cracks appearing where the yellow is on these because there's nowhere where the slip would gather. And so that's why these always end up being fine. These are big mugs too. Whenever I've done these, I've always made them as large. I bet these hold 20 ounces. I can make them smaller, but I've always tended to make my prowler mugs at least 16 ounces. And that's it. That's the kiln, the first kiln of 2025. So the cat doesn't go very far. Wherever I am, he follows me around and just lays down. I really hate the fact that he's in a place where I've got glazed materials. So anyway, let's open this kiln. Hamish just turned up. So there we go. Let's see if you can see the whole lot. It always looks so nice when you open a kiln. My leg is probably going to get... He's actually being a little better recently, but no, he's reaching up now. But if I ignore him, he tends to relax and goes to sleep right behind my feet, so I trip on him. But this is that work. I made these to be baked in. So they were bisqued to cone 06, and then now they've been glazed to cone 04. And the glaze is really clear, because that shouldn't change at all, except for there could be gas in the clay when it is bisqued at a lower temperature. I have a cold, so if I'm pronouncing things badly, it's because I have a cold. Birthday present, I guess. But anyway, so those, I baked bread in them. They were really good for doing that. Everybody said it was good anyway at the dinner. I just showed a picture. But I'm not sure I should do that. I'll have to ask permission from the people at the table. So if it's not in the video, it means I wasn't given permission. But clear glaze over just terracotta clay. And there's always a nice warmth to this clay when you fire it. And the inspiration for these pieces came from that channel that's from Azerbaijan called the Country Life Vlog is the channel on YouTube. It makes me feel very happy because there's a place in the world that's totally peaceful, and it seems that way anyway. But here's a sink. This is not an order. When I take an order for a sink, I have to make 3 to fire them in the kiln, because I do a special firing cycle, slowing the firing cycle so heavy things don't crack. But that, I've shown this technique several times now, and how to use paper stencils, slips, and in this piece there are no underglazes, it's just all slip. And then the outside is just the terracotta. Oh, he just jumped up at me. I think he's going to learn how to climb up my back when I ignore him. So I made a bunch of little wine glasses. And they're all a little bit different. This is mousse, obviously. Or when you've got lots of mousse, is that called their mice? I don't know. Mices. Mousses. So I tried to do these different so that, although there's usually sets of 4, I think, when I did these. So I could make a set for somebody if they wanted to. Here's a good plate. And I think in my videos, I tell you to make sure you put the stencils down always a little bit higher up if things are actually fastened to the ground. If birds are not included, jumping cats are not included. But basically, here's an example of what it looks like if you have a stencil that's actually applied later in the process, and it goes lower down than the actual stencils that are on already, and it makes the houses look like they're floating over the top of those bushes. So that's a good example of that, and I try not to do that. But in some pieces like this, I don't really mind as much because they're very whimsical anyway. So I have a bunch more of the little mousse pieces, a bunch more of the landscape pieces. Like I said, I'm trying to make one sure when you buy a set of these, they're all different. More mousse. Oh, that's mousse, houses and sheep. So you've got quite a lot on that one. But I just play when I'm doing these. There's no kind of rule to this. I just play. But these are all the same, so I'll skip the rest. The second layer down is a large seascape sink with some flower pieces, some carved pieces, and some more of the landscape glasses. So stencils over the top of white slip, which was sprayed over the top of the actual red clay. And then once the stencils are down, I spray the whole thing blue, and then I actually take underglazes in various shades of blue to actually paint in a sort of a variation of blues all over the piece for the ocean and the sky, and paint clouds obviously, and then paint the details in the boats. Actually the brown faded out in this firing, so only the black sort of shows up in the white boats. So I'll have to look at that brown underglaze and maybe use a different one, because it seems to be fading into the glaze. Ghostly borate based glaze, that usually happens with ghostly borate. And it's no longer available, So maybe that won't be happening in the future. Some more of the glasses. So I won't go into those too much. There's, like I said, probably a sets of 4 of each style that I did. Some with just moose, some with moose. Oh, there's some deer. We didn't have a deer one in the other one. Around here, people don't like the deer because they eat all the bushes. I actually don't mind our plants so much that I just feel like they get a little nibble. I still have lots of bushes. More deer in that one. Hamish is meowing. If you heard him, then he wants me to pay attention to him. He's a very needy, demanding little boy. I've shown videos of me painting these pieces too. And I paint the flowers in various ways. This isn't an order, these are just for the gallery. I'm going to paint some bowls. I did 12 of these, I think, and now I'm going to paint 12 bowls. Well, that was a nice one. I do these different all the time. I painted the flowers first and then the grass over the top in this batch. But I actually do them different approaches each time I do it, just to see and experiment a little bit. It's time for flowers not too long. It's 17th of January today. This video's over a long period because I started on January 1st. And then we've got the carvings. These are time consuming. Okay, here is the one that I'm really hoping is okay. Because it's an order. And usually the one that's an order is the one that something goes wrong on. So this is a guy who has a little mini farm on an island that's just off the coast here, and they have to get to the grocery store via a boat. And but they're moving because of age to a house inland on the mainland, and I think they're building a house that they can live in the winter, because it's just too isolating out on the island where you know, rough seas, you just can't even get to the grocery store or a doctor. And but that turned out, I think it turned out, I hope it turned out. It was very hard to make this. It was a lot of painting, but all their pets are in there. So now we've got lots more flower mugs. And once again, experimenting, painting differently each time. But I always like to make little sets. I think I did 3 of each of these. Maybe it was 4. I kind of like everything to be different. I don't want everything to be the same. But that was a very different one. So these are done with black slip over white slip over red clay. Not very much of the red clay showing through on this one. I also do them in white clay where it's just black and white. In fact, I've got some of those prepared already. We have the government wharf down the road with lots of buildings on it. So this kind of like that. I had just a big head cold, I think, at the moment. Another one of the wharf type one. Oh no, it isn't. It's a bit of both. This one looks like one of the wharf ones. Actually, Hamish is doing well. He hasn't tried to climb up me again. I can hear him scratching around though. He really wants that
collar off. He's had it on for 7 days now. That's him scratching it. It would drive me nuts to have one of those on my neck. So he's being very good because of it. And that's the last one in the kiln unloading. So from me and my helper, or unhelper, that was the end of this video, I guess. So I think I really like to keep this cat, but I saw a cat hit by a car down on the road. It would, you know, not while I was there, but there's a cat that looks almost the same as him, about a mile from here down the road, so it could easily be a sibling. So I can't risk keeping him here really, because of the road. It's right outside the door, and cats, you know, can learn how to do it, but if they're just one couple of seconds off, they might not survive. So my friend Casstone may take this guy, but if not, I'll keep him, and I'm going to even try making him go into the house once he's got the collar off and his male hormones have gone. We might try him at the house and see if he can blend with the other 5 cats. As you can see, he's a lover. He just does this all day if you let him. So thanks for watching this video. Not sure to post this as a pottery video or a cat video.